Hey, boys and girls, it's Pastor Jonathan, and I'm so excited that I get to reach out to you guys through Facebook and YouTube and all that other stuff. Because, again, we have no church, which is all good. It's all fine. Stay home, be safe. Make sure you're washing your hands. Make sure you're cleaning everything. Just because we don't want you guys to get sick or anything to happen. So, boys and girls, please don't forget to do that. But for today, we have our lesson, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I got a little story for you guys. And before we do that, we're going to go into our worship set. I'll have music along with the dance moves. Go ahead, go along with the dance moves as we start our little worship segment. There we go. And we're back. Boys and girls, did you guys have a lot of fun? I hope so. We have our worship set for you guys, and we're about to get ready with our lesson. Now, do any of you guys remember what we've talked about the last few weeks? Well, if you don't know, we've been talking about forgiveness. And forgiveness can be hard for some of us. Forgiveness can be difficult, but in the Bible it says that we need to forgive even before we go to God and ask for forgiveness. So boys and girls, we're talking about that again, but I got a different story for you guys. Now, who remembers what a parable is? We've talked about this before. We've mentioned it before, but okay. If you don't remember what a parable is a story that Jesus used to help people understand what he was trying to teach them. Kind of like how I share stories about my life or a story that I know about a missionary or something to help you guys better understand what we're talking about. But we're talking about one of Jesus's parables. We're talking about one of Jesus's stories. And we're talking about the story of the lost son. Do any of you guys remember that? Well, let me explain real fast. And so there was a boy, a son, and he had a brother. So they were living with their dad, and probably mom and all the servants that they had. I don't know. Maybe they had a lot of stuff. Maybe they had a big farm. I'm sure they had a big farm. So what happened is the youngest son, the youngest one, I'm sure he was probably about a teenager by then, he decided to ask his dad for all of his share of the money. He was already eager. He wanted the money, because what happened in the olden days is that when the father died, he would pass off part of it to his younger son and another part to his older son, or separate it by however many sons he has. All right? So, since there were two, actually the older son got the largest portion. So since there were two, he gave the portion, part of the portion, to the younger son. And the younger son, he was so excited. He must have been super excited. And it says in the Bible that he went off. Ready? Let me go with it. The son got together all of his stuff and set off to a distant country. And there he squandered his wealth by wild living. Now, no, it's not. It doesn't mean that he was living in the wild with the tigers and the bears and the beats. No, that doesn't mean that he was living in the wild. He was just doing a lot of crazy things. Maybe he'd spend money on parties, or maybe he'd, like if we look at it at our time, maybe he got the best looking car, or maybe he got the biggest house, or maybe he got the biggest plot of land with a whole bunch of horses. Like whatever it may be, he decided to spend all of his money. And here's a quick example of that. Boys and girls, so I have some money right here. I know, I love money. I know you guys like money, because without money, we can't do much, can we? But boys and girls, this boy, this kid, this son had money, and he wanted to spend it. And so he gets to the city, he goes over there, he gets to the country, and he's like, hey, I want a house. And lo and behold, he pays for a house. Hey, I think I should have a swimming pool in that house. So, lo and behold, he pays for a swimming pool. And then maybe he wants the best looking clothes. And he decides to spend money on the best looking clothes. But it's okay. It is all right, because he still has $1, $2, $3 left. At least that's what we have right now. So we just spent some. We'll toss it off to the side. And he still has enough money left. Boys and girls, let's say that he decides to, maybe a month later, or 2 months, or 3 months, he's got his house ready, he's got his pool all clean, he's paid the rent. Oh, we forgot about that bill. He's got to pay the rent. Yep. Then let's say he's paid the rent, taken care of everything, and he wants a party. And he wants the biggest party of all. All of a sudden, he's got to spend more money. He's got to pay for food. He's got to pay for drinks. He's got to pay for whatever he needs for the party, right? So how much do you think a party should cost, right? A big party. Like maybe if we had a party in our day, like with lights and fire and craziness, right? So let's say with our dollars, let's say that it costs $2. So 1, 2. But it's okay, because he still has 1, 2, 3. That's not right. All right, okay. So he still has enough money. Let's say we've used these, so we'll toss them off to the side. And boys and girls, it's not enough. He made some friends, and he wants to get some gifts for his friends. Maybe the nicest clothes, maybe the best jewelry, maybe whatever it may have been. He wanted to get some other stuff. Because it says in the Bible that he squandered. That means he used it all up. He used up his money and his wealth in wild living. He was living crazy. He was having fun, just enjoying everything, not working, not worrying about anything. Wait, he's got to pay for the rent again. So, let's say he's got to pay for the rent. That's one. And boys and girls, let's say he does decide to get those gifts for everybody. Let's say he decides to get those gifts for his family, or not for his family because he left them all in the other country, but for his friends, and he decides to get gifts for them. We've used that. But it is okay, right? Because he's still got 1, 2, 3 more dollars. Didn't we just... I don't know how he's always still got 3 more dollars. So let's say he has another party. He's got to pay for the car rent, or not the rent, but he's got to pay for the car. He's got to pay for insurance. He's got to pay for whatever it may be, because even though you've already paid for the car, you might still need insurance, or whatever it may be. So let's say he pays for the car. Let's say he pays for the house. But it's all right, guys, because he's still got 1, 2. Uh-oh, he's losing money now. He's a little worried. He's a little afraid because he's lost and spent all of his money. But in order to still have his friends, he's still got to get gifts. So maybe he won't get the best gifts. Maybe he'll get some nice gifts. Yeah, some nice ones, but not the best ones. So he decides to spend another. Now, boys and girls, let's count it off, because it should still be all right. He should still have enough. 1, 2. Only 1 left. And eventually he does go ahead and spend his money. Boys and girls, that is what happened with the son that went off and spent all of his money on wild living. He wanted all the best stuff, and eventually, because he didn't get a job, because he didn't do the things that he needed to, he didn't have any more money. And so, after that, do you think if his friends were so interested, do you think his friends were just interested in him or his money? Eventually, his friends didn't care about him because he didn't have money. So the son eventually goes off and starts working on a farm. And guess what kind of farm it was? Not one of my favorite farms. I like farms. I like different kinds of farms. But this one would be the worst for me. It was a pig farm. At least it had pigs on it. So he started working for the farm. So he hired himself. He went out, fed, did the fields, And guess what? He didn't even have food. So guess what he had to eat? He had to eat what he was feeding the pigs. So he'd eat pretty much with the pigs. Now imagine that. You're in a farm and you see a trough of food. And you're like, that's good. Would any of you guys be like that? I'm not sure. I know I wouldn't be. I don't know if any of you guys would be, but I know I wouldn't be. And eventually, he realized that he shouldn't have to live like that. He realized that his dad treated the people that he hired better than this. They'd give the servants at his house when he was a boy the spare food. And he decided, hey, I'm done with this. I guess he quit the job. He started walking home. He went home. I don't know how. Maybe he just hopped on a horse and left. Maybe he walked. I don't know how. But he eventually got back home. And I'm sure the dad, when his son left, never heard from him. He was worried. And to see his son walk in towards the house, it says in the Bible that he was, and it explains that he was excited. He ran out to his son and gave his son a big hug, a huge hug. And you want to know, do you think the father decided to forgive his son at that point? Do you think because his dad could have been like, what in the world? Why did you do that? Why did you do this? What are you thinking? You're crazy. No. The dad gave him a big hug and told his son that I love you. I'm sure there were more words. I'm sure there were more things. And he decided to look at the servants and, well, actually, let's bring it back. The son told his dad that, hey, I know I did not do the right thing. I know I shouldn't have left. I know I shouldn't have spent all the money, but I did. Can you have me back? You don't have to forgive me. I'll be a servant, is what the son was saying. I'll work for my money. And the dad said, no. And he turned to his servants, and the dad decided to look at everybody and say, quick, bring me the best robe and put it on him. Then put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And let's bring him a calf, and let's eat and celebrate. And it says in the Bible, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He is lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. Which is all exciting. The dad forgave him. Everything was super exciting. But later on in the story, it explains that the brother, the older brother, was not too happy. Now let me ask you this. If your brother or sister decided to take money from mom and dad and leave and never say one word, and then they came back and mom and dad gave them a huge party, how would you feel? Would you be a little upset? Would you be a little frustrated? Like you could have been like, ooh, you shouldn't have left mom and dad. That was wrong. However you may feel. The older son was very much like that. He was mad. He was angry. He was upset. He was so upset that he didn't even go to the party. He didn't even try to celebrate for his brother coming back home, because he didn't want any of that. Now, it doesn't exactly tell us in the Bible that eventually the brother decided to forgive. But I want you to think about this just for a second. Just think about it. If we choose not to forgive, like the brother, the older brother, and we're so angry and bitter inside that we decide not to be a part of somebody's life or not to celebrate maybe a birthday or a celebration, whatever it may be, because we're so angry, aren't we going to miss out on stuff? We're going to miss out on a ton of things. Now, boys and girls, think about that. If your best friend was so mad at you that they just didn't want to be your friend, whatever it may be, and they decided not to come to your birthday, how would that make you feel? That would be pretty sad. I know if I have a birthday party or if I'm celebrating something, I'd like my friends to come over. I'd like my friends to come and celebrate with me. So, boys and girls, the point of this story, the point of everything is the bottom line, if you want to say, or the big idea. If you take one thing from this, this is what I want you to get. That when you don't forgive, when you don't let go of the anger inside of you or the frustration inside of you, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on a lot of things. And eventually, this is going to be sad, eventually, you're going to be all alone. If you don't forgive, you're going to miss out. And it's not going to be fun. Boys and girls, the older brother had a choice to forgive. And maybe he did forgive later, or maybe he didn't. But right now, you guys have a choice to forgive. Now, like we've said, that doesn't fix every friendship, every relationship. But it does help. As long as you guys forgive, you guys won't miss out. You guys won't miss out on life. You guys won't be, because what I'll tell you from experience right here. I used to have a hard time forgiving, and sometimes I still do. When I chose to forgive, or when I chose not to forgive, we'll start there. When I chose not to forgive, I would be so angry that maybe at my friend, maybe at whatever, that if anybody else started talking about, let's say, Joseph, and I was angry at Joseph, and if one of my other friends, Ryan, started talking about Joseph in a good way, you want to know what I would start doing? I would start separating myself from Ryan. Because obviously, Ryan's still his friend. But he shouldn't be. Because he's mean and I'm angry. Can you see how that makes you miss out on a lot of things? I've learned that when I was younger. And I really hope that you guys learn that too. Boys and girls, I've sent an email to your parents with things that they can talk to you guys about. But yeah, ask them. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. Ask them about forgiveness. Ask them if it's hard for them to forgive sometimes. Because I'll tell you, Pastor Jonathan right here sometimes does have that hard time. I'm not perfect. Mom and Dad aren't perfect. But don't forget, We've been talking about forgiveness, and actually this week is the last week of forgiveness. Oh! Now next month, we're talking about, if I remember right, I could be wrong, we're talking about never giving up. So this last month was a lot of fun. We've been talking about forgiveness and how forgiveness can help bring people together. And if they were once separate and didn't like each other, maybe it can help sometimes. And also, it'll help you not miss out on stuff. So boys and girls, have some fun this week. Practice forgiving your friends and your family. Don't forget that, because you still got to forgive your family. You still have to forgive your brother or sister for messing up your room or throwing stuff all over the place or shooting a Nerf gun at you. Whatever it may be, you still got to forgive. Don't forget that. Boys and girls, I hope to see you soon. I hope to actually see you guys, and have a good rest of the week. Bye.